Hi, I'm Dave Klein, and this is the Cymulate Cybersecurity Newscast. When we think of critical infrastructure attacks by various hackers, both from nation states and financially motivated attackers, probably the biggest hit we've seen has been in gas pipeline companies. You think of Colonial Pipeline in the United States that was hit by DarkSide, Group, a big gas conglomerate in China that was hit by Hive, Creos and Savo out of Luxembourg that was hit by, I believe it was Black Cat, and finally South Stratfordshire in England that was hit by Clop. Well, this week we have a fifth one. So the Greek national gas pipeline called DESFA was hit by Ragnar Locker ransomware group. And what's interesting about the Ragnar Locker group is the FBI has really targeted them and is investigating them because they seem to go after critical infrastructure. In fact, they've hit over 50 organizations across 10 critical infrastructure sectors. And what was interesting this week, we had a report from Cyber Reason who looked into this group and especially on the gas pipeline attack, had all the indicators of compromise in the TTPs, which I'll include in the notes section of the video. Some pretty common commonalities with the ransomware groups. Double indemnity, they use blackmail as well as encrypting your data and holding that for ransom. They detect and evade or shut down defenses they find. They exclude all the Russian sphere of influence states. So that's actually, there's a name for that. It's called Commonwealth of Independent States. Just as you have an EU, a common economic community among the EU, these Russian former states from the communist period, about 11 states, are all in this one group. So they avoid the language keyboard structure of these groups because that's where they live. They don't want to be arrested where they live. So again, you can see the full report in the notes section of the video. In a continuation of a news story we started covering last week, we had talked about Uber having been hit quite decisively by a cyber attack. Later that week, Rockstar Games, the creator of Grand Theft Auto, was also hit by the supposed same attacker who leaked 90 different videos of in-game play of the yet-to-be-released Rockstar Grand Theft Auto 6 and claimed to also have source code. What's interesting in both these attacks is the London City Police, backed by the FBI and the UK National Cyber Crimes Unit, have arrested a teen, a minor, 17, in Oxfordshire, for violating their parole in these two attacks, and have verified and confirmed it was the same kid that they arrested back in March for attacks working for Lapsus, for Microsoft, Cisco, Okta, NVIDIA, and Samsung, all hit by this one individual. Quite fascinating. So we'll keep up on this story as we hear more about it. But again, minor, a teen working for Lapsus, is responsible for the Uber and the Rockstar Games attack. This week, VMware put out a report on Chromeloader malware attacks. They assessed over 50 plus customers of theirs who were hit by these attacks and really did an in-depth look at them. You could look at the full report in the notes section of the video. It's kind of critical for us to understand. Chromeloader malware attacks are browser exploits. They've been around for quite a while. And since Microsoft has finally blocked Office macros by default, which is wonderful, by the way, this is something that's being used a lot more. Initially, we saw Chromeloader malware attacks being used by malvertisement, password stealers, but now we're seeing it even being used by ransomware groups who are using it as initial attack vector to get in and push out Emotet, Qbot, ICE-ID. All these are initial access brokers they use to then load Cobalt Strike or something else to do post-exploit work in these environments that they get. And so basically, the way Chromeloader malware works is it uses ISO files, RAR files, and LNK files to compromise these machines to load this stuff and get it to work. What we find here is there's some really important takeaways. You think about us as professionals, we need to do a better job in seeing how our solutions examine ISO, RAR, LNK files, how we incorporate least privileges to our users so they can install these things, and open PowerShell, things like that. How they can avoid saving passwords in browsers, and really control where our users download and install applications from. If they download a PDF viewer from the wrong place, it may have this stuff in it as well. Really interesting. Again, I'll put a link to the full report in the notes section of the video. And that's the newscast for the week. I'm Dave Klein. This has been the Cymulate Cybersecurity Newscast. Stay safe out there.